Kaji is an OG. He was here. He was a musician. In fact, he was a swinger, playing in the Jive Bummers swing band. Now, later in life, he did get respectable. Now, just part of his bio reads, founding president and chairman of the Japanese American National Museum and member of the Board of Trustees and Executive Committee. Bruce Kaji.
Thank you. When I was asked to appear today, I saw the sequence of speakers, and under my name, I think Daryl had written Color Man. I didn't know what Color Man meant, and so I wore this shirt.
Which reminds me, I heard there's some song that you can sing a cappella for us. What's the song you guys used to sing in the band?
Yeah, well, I have something more serious.
Okay.
When I was asked to speak, I didn't know what I would say, but having come to school here in Manzanar, I got on a train in Los Angeles on May 9th, 1942. And that happened to be my birthday. And the government put all of us on a train and brought us up to Lone Pine. And at Lone Pine, we debarked and put on buses to come to camp. The camp was late at night. They gave us a big bag, we call it a tick, and they asked us to put straw in there, and that became our mattress. So we went to our barrack, block 26, barrack 7, apartment 2. Inside, there were cots, army cots. There was one light hanging down from the ceiling, and that was it. If you had the public facilities, the men's room and showers was outside in the middle part of the block, and same for the women's. And there was a washroom for people to wash their clothes and iron. Well, that was our reception to Manzanar. The next day we got up, and guess what? I saw Mount Williamson. It hasn't changed at all. It's beautiful. But our lives were a lot different. We went to school, and our graduation class had 39 schools that the graduates came from all over. We had 135 graduates, and we came through very well because we had instructors that were very dedicated. Now, at a regular school, I went to Roosevelt, and my school was predominantly Jewish kids, Hispanics, and Japanese were a very, very minority group. When I came to Manzanar, it was all Japanese Americans. Oh, by the way, we had one Mexican American, Ralph Lazo, and I must tell you that Ralph got on the train with us in Los Angeles, and his buddies were coming to Manzanar, and he stayed on the train and came all the way up to Manzanar and came and lived with us. Mr. Merritt, the director of the camp, called him in, and he called his father, and he says, I want you to talk to your father. You're not supposed to be here. You're not Japanese American. He got on the phone and told his father, I'm here with my friends. I'd like to finish high school with them. And the father said, okay. So Ralph Lazo became part of our high school picture. He was very active. He was cheerful. He was our cheerleader. And I want to tell you, we couldn't find a better friend. The other thing I want to tell you is that our class was all Japanese Americans except for Ralph Lazo. In any other high school in Los Angeles or wherever we came from, we were the minority. Now all of a sudden, we're the majority. So we're in the glee club, we're all the glee club. We're in the orchestra, we're the orchestra. We're in the history class, we're the history class. And so we had an opportunity for the first time to excel in whatever they put us in. And so, like Mary, she became our soloist. We had other people that were soloists, and we formed a jazz band called the Jive Bombers. Now that's a very unusual name. How did we get that name, Jive Bombers? Well, there was a record, and the flip side was No Name Jive. And so someone says, how about the name Jive for our orchestra? The guy says, okay. Bill Wakatsuki was our leader. He says, but it's got to have a lot of punch. And somebody says, oh, how about Jive Bombers? And, you know, it's wartime, so you know, bombers. So that's what we accepted. And we were playing for the local high school dance and for our pleasure. But the main thing I wanted to bring to your attention is what Archie's dad did for us. The coincidence of having someone in a concentration camp being able to take pictures is very unusual. Mr. Merritt, who was the camp director, saw Toyo Miyatake, who had snuck in his lens and the lens holder, the what? Film holder. And when he came to camp, he made a box camera and put the lens and the holder inside and started taking pictures. Well, the camp director suddenly found out about it and called him in. But being the kind of person he was, he allowed Mr. Miyatake to take pictures, but he hired somebody so he could snap the shutter. He didn't want him to do that because he was a non-citizen. And so after about 4 or 5 people that he hired to do that, he couldn't find anyone, so he says, Toyo, do your thing. And so Toyo started taking his pictures. What he did, he took pictures of everything in camp. And he created our world. Our world is our graduation class annual. It not only has the pictures of all of the graduates and the classes and the activities of the school with the superintendent of schools and the teachers, but our class wanted to add a second part. We wanted to add our world, the kind of life that we were leading, and so Toyo was obligated to take pictures of everything in camp, the police department, the orchestra, the teachers, the activities, the guayuli experiment we had, the camouflage net that we were making for the army, all of these things were then photographed and put into our world. And I just wanted to read to you what Mr. Merritt wrote in our yearbook, because he was quite a different sort of person who managed the camp. And this was done in 1944. You picture yourself if back in 44 we're still winding up with a war. In years to come, when the war is over and peace has returned to the world, people may say to you, what was Manzanar? Then I hope you may say that Manzanar was a wartime city that sprang up from the sands of the desert of Inyo and returned to desert with the end of the war. It was the largest city between Los Angeles and Reno. It was a city serving a wartime purpose where people lived in peace and goodwill, where there was a school system that taught young citizens the ideals of American citizenship, where schools were of as high a rank as other California schools, and where students dedicated their future lives to the American way of living. I hope you may say that Manzanar was an experience worth living, where the important realities of life were made clear, and where there was time and opportunity to prepare for participation in the work of winning the peace based on tolerance, understanding, and goodwill. The graduates of Manzanar have a great contribution to make in determining the kind of world that is to come after the war. And that was signed by Ralph P. Merritt, a great man. Thank you.